Hey guys, happy Sunday. Welcome back. For meme stock investors, if you've been paying attention to social media, Michael Burry has been back on the radar, and I wanted to just briefly talk about him because there are people that think he's going to have something interesting to say about Gamestop. Maybe he's already said it. Maybe he hasn't. I think he has not yet. Not this Michael Burry on the screen, though. Not this Michael Burry. No, not that one either. Yes, this one right here. The interview that was just done with Michael Burry and Michael Lewis. Same guy, different haircut. That Christian Bale one obviously was the actor from the movie The Big Short. Hopefully you guys have watched that. But Michael Lewis, who wrote the book The Big Short, has done some interviews with Michael Burry, and this video got posted on Michael Lewis's channel. I'll put a link to the 2-minute video down in the video description. And there is also some tidbits from a podcast that he did with Michael Burry where you could hear some more of his thoughts. And I encourage you guys to go over there and check that out for the full entire interview. In this video, I just want to talk about, has Michael Burry said anything about GameStop, and what was he mad about in his most recent podcast with Michael Lewis? Back in 2008, Dr. Michael Burry was running his own hedge fund, Scion Capital LLC. You guys probably know about that from the movie. And he did close that fund down after 2008 and mailing everybody their checks. He relaunched the fund as Scion Asset Mgmt in 2013 and closed that fund in 2016, 2017. And then Dr. Burry relaunched Scion Asset Mgmt in 2019, 2020, and just announced in the past week or two that he was closing that down. And a lot of you guys have been asking me, why do you think he closed it? Was it because he wanted freedom from the board to make whatever decisions that he wanted? No, that is not the case. To the best of my knowledge, Michael Burry was the sole decision maker for Scion, and nobody told him what to do. He had no restrictions, no rules. He did what he wanted. There was no board. It was a one-man firm.
So I got off Twitter.
But you got back on.
I got back on recently because we deregistered. I don't run that pool of money anymore. I'm just going to run my own money.
Got you. So it's just your money now. So
mostly, yeah.
Why did you decide to do that?
The problem is in the United States, I think when the market goes down, it's not like in 2000 where there was this other bunch of stocks that were being ignored and they'll come up even if the NASDAQ crashes. Now I think the whole thing's just going to come down. And it will be very hard to be in long stocks in the United States and protect yourself. And so that's why I decided to get out of it.
Because the fund had to be long in some way?
Well, I didn't want to go through that with investors again.
I see.
And
that makes sense.
Of course, I closed the fund and I put on all the positions for myself right away. The same position.
So you're still in the position.
What you just listened to was Michael Burry talking in the podcast with Michael Lewis about why he recently closed Scion Asset Mgmt. And it wasn't because anybody told him or was trying to tell him what he could or could not do with his investments. He just basically said, I think the stock market's going to go down. There's going to be nowhere to hide. And I don't want to deal with investors in my hedge fund when that happens. He's sick of dealing with people. So he's going to run a family office with his own money. And you heard him say he put on the same positions with his own money as he had when he closed out the fund. And we'll look at those positions in just a second. I want to move on and talk about what Dr. Michael Burry was upset about in the press here recently. And it was covered in that same podcast, but we have a 2-minute video clip where we get to see him talk about what he does not like about the press and what they get wrong about his trades.
They're all wrong.
So let's talk about this. So explain to me, you have this very small operation with just a handful of investors. What are the filing requirements? What do you have to hand in so that people can see what you're doing?
They get to see U.S. securities traded in the U.S. that are stocks. They get to see stocks, and they get an incredibly bastardized version of options.
Okay. How is it bastardized?
Because say I buy 50,000 put options on Palantir.
Yep.
And that's 50,000 times 100. And so I'm short strike 50 way out of the money. It's like it's $200 stock now. But I think it's worth 30 or
right.
less. So I buy them way out of the money, 2 years out.
You're betting that Palantir is going to drop by a lot.
A lot.
But over a long period of time.
Right.
Yes.
And the press, I'm working out and I see on CNBC, I have a $1 billion short position against Palantir. It's $10 million.
I saw this too. I couldn't believe it.
So what they do is they take the underlying shares under those options contracts and they multiply it out by the current stock price.
Yeah.
So I have a actually it was less than $2 option, and it was being priced as if I owned the 200. So it was 2 orders of magnitude off.
Right.
And that happens also with index. So I would take hedges on my portfolio and people would say, oh my gosh, he's shorting $1.5 billion of the S&P 500, or he's shorting, and there would be these explosions. And it's just wrong. It's notional. What's interesting is that they don't do this for anybody else.
What Dr. Burry is talking about is the very 13F that he filed that we have here on the screen. And you can see at the bottom his put position on Palantir. And it says here that it is a put. And as he said, this is a notional value, $912 million, almost $1 billion. 5 million shares times the current price of Palantir at the time he filed this was close to $1 billion. However, the problem is when you're looking at a 13F and you see call or put, you have to divide this share count by 100 because they're putting the amount of shares that they control. To say it very plainly, he owns 50,000 puts, which he said in the interview we just watched, cost him $10 million. 50,000 puts gives him control of 5 million shares, which is what you see in the middle of the form here. And the notional value of those shares is close to $1 billion. But his investment was not $1 million. It was $10 million. He was not short Palantir $1 billion like the headlines run on the mass media. And he's not very happy about that. I don't think that Dr. Michael Burry has put out his final thoughts on GameStop yet, like he promised a week or so ago. And I know some of you think he's going to say something very bullish about GameStop. I have my doubts about that. He did say something last night, which I will put a link to this tweet also in the video description. And he's basically chastising reporters or anybody who criticizes him about the short call that he made on GameStop, Bitcoin, Tesla, Robinhood, and the NASDAQ 100 back in the first half of 2021, because some of those tickers went up. But he said, if you look over time, they did come back down, at least into 2023. So he's claiming technically he was correct. And, whether you're long or short, a lot of times things are just about timing and being able to stay in the game long enough. But one thing that really got people upset in the comments that he said last night is, do you really think that any short seller holds these positions for 5 to 10 years? And boy, I want you to go read the comments that people left him, especially the GameStop people. They're saying, of course, they're still holding their short positions. They never closed, or they never covered, or they moved them into swaps or derivatives. It's pretty interesting to see the wide variety of opinions that people have about what shorts do. Let me know your thoughts down below about his tweet today. And what do you think that he is going to say about GameStop? Has he already said it? Are we expecting something around the middle of this month? And do you think he's going to be bullish or bearish about the current state of GameStop? I'm Tony Denaro. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video.